Hi everyone, good morning. Okay, please, if you're online, let me have a comment in the chat box that we are together. Okay, I can see some comments. Okay, good morning everyone. Trust you had a good night rest, and hope you are able to go through what we discussed yesterday. Okay, thank you, Chamaka. Thanks for always coming here before me. That's fine. So today we'll try to go through loop. We try to go through loop. It's very important concept in JavaScript or even any programming language because, for example, now if you have to write 1 to 1,000, if you have to write 1 to 1,000 on our screen, can't how do I say it? We can't just type in console.log1, console.log2, console.log3 to 1,000. That's quite stressful. So we have to find a way to write it without having to repeat ourselves. So that's when looping comes. There are different methods. So we are going to go through it today. So I will okay, my screen is currently being shared. So I'll be going to, if you have any questions as regards yesterday's class, you can drop it while I get set for this. Okay, thank you everyone. Thank you for joining Web System People class. So let me know if you have any question or if you have anything that is not clear. If you have anything that is not clear, let's go through it together. It's nice being here again, and thank you everyone for joining the class. Yeah, we'll be talking about loop. So I'm sharing my screen. Loop, yeah. So now, loop can execute a block of code a number of times. So for example, now we want to write 1 to 1 million in our console. It's possible, but definitely it's not possible or it's not feasible for us to start writing console.log1, console.log2, console.log3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 till we reach 1 million. It's not possible. So we have to find a way to write it without going through that stress. So that's where JavaScript loops come in. Now, you can see now, loops are handy. If you want to run the same code over and over again each time with a different value, this is the case when working. Often this is the case when working with array. Let's start with an example. Now, for example, now I'll be using my console now. Okay, let me use my code pen. Let me continue using my code pen. So I'm not seeing any question. I believe yesterday's class was clear and everyone was able to do the necessary thing. Now, for example, now if I want to write console.log, let me say 1. For me to write 1 to 10, you have to start writing. You have to keep on doing this thing. This is not really feasible, and it's not the best way to do things. For example, I'm going to 1 million. It's not going to be feasible. Now, we have different method of using for loop. So, and that's what we are going to be going through today. I'm expecting it to this is my console, if I wrote clear like this. So now, let's go through the different method we have for the for loop. Now we have the for loop, which is very, very common. That's most especially you definitely fall in love with for loop, but there are other ones that come in handy more than for loop. So we'll talk about the for loop, the for in loop, the for off loop, and why and do while loop. These are different type of loop we'll talk about. It's possible if you can talk about the first 3 while you read about the last 2, or we'll talk about everything, but there's always a place that you must have to do things on your own. Now, when we talk about for loops, it's also a block statement also. You can see now it always have 3 expressions. it always have what? 3 expressions. You know, like I said in previous classes, that expression is when you write let A is equal to 3, that's an expression. So you are going to have 3 expressions inside the for loop. The expression 1 is executed 1 time before the execution of the float block. That means before your code starts to run, one of the expression will have to run first. That means it has to take that condition. That condition must be executed first before your code will run. Expression 2 will define the condition for executing the block code. Like what and what. For example, now I want to write 1 to 100. The first condition is that I'm starting at 1. I will have to take that for when I is equal to 1, or from that number is equal to 1. I'm starting at 1. Then the condition is when it's, if I say let I is equal to 1, then what do I want it to happen? Then I have to tell them that when I is what? Is less than 1,000. That is another condition. Then I have to tell you that, okay, how do I want it to be? We know I is starting from 1. How do I want it to print it? Should it print 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Or should it print 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 10? So I have to define the condition in which I want that number to print. So that's how the 3 conditions is going to meet. For example, now this is an example which I'm going to run here. For example, I'm writing a for now. It comes like this. This is where the expression is going to come, and you're going to write the block. So this is how it is always been worked upon. This is how it's always been worked upon. This is how it's always. This is how it's always been worked upon. For example, now, so it means.
Oh.
So now I'm sorry for the little bit break. So now this is how we are going to execute the for loop. Now we are going to put that 3 statement. For example, now I want to print 1 to 10 inside my console. I want to print 1 to 10 inside my console. Print 1 to 10, 1 to 10. I'll zoom my screen because if you are unable to see my screen, I believe now you should be able to see it better. You should be able to see my screen better now. So now we want to print 1 to 10. No, the first condition is what? We start from 0. We start from 0. We start from 0, or let's say we start from 1. As I've said, we are printing from 1 to 10. Then we have to what? We stop at what? We stop at 10. Then how do I want it to be? Like, how do I want it to be? We are starting at 1 and we are stopping at 0. How do I want to add? Is it 1, 2, 3, 4? Or I want 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. How do I want it to be? So I want to what? Increment by 1. Increment by 1. These are the 3 conditions I want. So now I'm going to write in the form of a statement. Now, remember when we are discussing about variables, that we have 3 types of way of declaring variable: the let, const, and var. So now we can use var and we can use let. We can't use const because when you use const, we can't be able to change it. So most of the time when you are doing loop, it is better for you to use let, because var has a global scoping which can always affect your work. So now we are going to say let I, this is where equals to 1. This is the statement that will run, that will have to be executed before our loops work. So let's say let I equals to 1. Now the other condition is that we want to increment by what? We want it to increment by 1. We want it to increment by 1 because the stops should be the last thing. Actually, the stop should be the last thing. We want to increment by 1. So now we are now assuming that let I equals to 1. That means we are starting from 1. And what? Where is it going to stop? Where is it going to stop? As in, at what condition do you want this thing to stop? Then we say I is less than or equal to 10. So that means when I is equal to or less than equal to 10, you want this thing to what? To stop. I mean, when it's reached 10, it should stop. Or when it's reached 10, it should stop. Then how do you want it to be? You want to increment it by 1. So we are going to say I plus plus. Remember when we are talking about increment and decrement, then we can say I plus plus. I plus plus. That means now this will now run like this. When our I is equal to 1, it will check if our I is equal to 1. Fine. Now when our I is equal to 1, so what is going to do? And our I is not up to 10. Then this condition is true. Then our I plus plus then is going to increase our I. So I hope that is clear. I'm not seeing response or a question. I hope this is clear as regards for loop. Now, if I now come here and now say console.log, yes, when you remember increments, I plus plus is increment. I think I explained that in yesterday class. Increment, like now, for example, now if I come here, I don't want to use this. Now let me just open a new browser like this. We explained this yesterday. Now if I come here and I say let I equals to 1. If I say I plus plus now, I'm saying 1 plus plus. If I say I plus plus now. Now if I it's bringing 1 because that was just the initial part. Now if I say I again, you can see now it's bringing us 2. It's bringing us what? It's bringing 2. So that's if I say I plus plus again, it's going to bring 2. But if I check the value of I now, it's going to be 3. Did I type something wrong? So that's how it's actually works. You can see now our I is what? Our I now is 3. Okay, I was typing 2. Our I is 3. So if I say I plus plus again, now if I clear this, if I now say I again, so our I now is what? 4. So if I say I minus minus like this, when I say I again, you can see now our I is 3. So that's how increment and decrement works in JavaScript. So I hope that is clear. With that being said, I have to go back to my code pen. Yeah. So now, if I now say console.log I now, I think my console is not. Didn't show the other time. Let me just refresh this page. So I'm trying to refresh the page. I don't know why it's supposed to have something at the top here. I hope that is clear. Odun. Okay, yeah, this is what I'm supposed to have. That's fine. I would like to move this to the top. Why? So now if I'm writing this here, so let me use, I'm thinking of a better way. This is my JS. Okay, now, so now if I'm pasting this now, let's see what we'll have here when it runs. You can see now we are now having 1 to 10. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We're having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 9, 10. People said there are 2 ways of incrementing JS. Yes, I plus plus return the value, then increment it. Yes, plus plus or increment the value before return it. Yes, you are right. So this how you can see now this how what the for loops work. Now suppose now you want to say let's say you now want to say our number console.log our number is there's something we call template literal which we later talk about. Our number is I. Okay, you can see now. Let me clear this so that because of the thing is running immediately. So now we are having this now. I'm expecting it to run again. Why? So we're having this actually. So our number is 1, number is 1, number is 2, number is 3, number is 4, number is 5. So this is how increment, this is how it works. So that's how we are going to be using for loop. That's how we are going to be using for loop. So it comes in handy. Anything you want to do, you can do it. For example, let's assume our number is an array. These are, like I said earlier, let's say these are const. Let's say ARR equals this. No, we are having this 1, 2, 3. Let's say man, woman. We have lady. We have these 3 now. We can always access it. We can always loop it, and we can always access it using the for loop. So if I come here and say, like I said earlier, this how our for block usually look like. Then we can now say, now coming here now, we want to start at what? Let I should be equals to 0, because we know that the index in an array usually starts with what? Usually starts with is 0. Usually starts with 0. Then now we want to get the array, the length of the array. The length of the array, that will be so now we have let I is equal to 0. Now suppose we want to get the length, we want to loop this through array. Now it's going to be the length of this array. So we are now going to say if I is less than or equal to ARR dot length, then we are going to say what? I plus plus. Now if you come here now, I will now say console.log. Suppose we want to get each number, each array, ARR at index of I. Let's see what we have here. Let me comment this out so that we can, or I can always go down back. Let me comment it out. Now it's bringing undefined as last one, because normally now this one is 0, 1, 2, and it's going to, so the most thing is that you're going to put -1 here, because it is starting Java array starts from 0 instead of 1. So for you to get the last number, the last item in the array, you are going to be using length -1, because it's starting from 0, not from 1. Yusuf Ali, good morning. So this is how we are going to be using loop. You can see now we are now checking, we are now having man, woman, blah, 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 everything like that, which is what exactly we want as a loop. So this is how we are going to, this is how for loop is going to be used. So I will just comment this out, and this is the common way of using it. So we are going to be trying others using this approach. So this is what we by for loop. The other one we have here is also what we call for in loop. The for in loop. For in loop is just, it helps us to get the how to call it, the index, the key. It returns the iteration, the index, like the number you are having there. It helps us to what? To return it. For example, now, like it's being explained here, it iterates over a what? Over an object. It returns the key. It returns the what? The key, and which we are going to be talking about now. For example, now let's try the for in method here. The way it works is like this. Let me show you now. Now it assumes that the for in works in actual sense, like when you are having a number, let's say this array now. We are having this array. I will comment this out now. When you are using a for in method, it will check through the index of each one. It will return the index of this each one. So now this is how it works. You write your for now here. Instead of using this long one, we can use it. Now we're having this. Yeah. So now for you to get each item, each index of this now, you can call it anything. Let's X in this the in method is here, this is the for, this is the in array. In array, then it's going to return the index of each one of them. If I now console.log X now, if I console.log this, okay, now another information that I was told to pass across them. Okay, I'll talk about the dollar sign. I'll talk about the dollar sign just before I forget this. Now, yeah, please check the announcement channel. You are told to fill, there's a survey form there that you are supposed to fill in. Let me just open my own Slack now. Please try and open it and fill it. Your feedback will help us to grow and it will really be appreciated. Please try and check the survey form and sir, must for loop be let. No, I is not constant. I is the item inside it. So just a minute. Let me just let me show you this thing before I come inside it. Now, please, you can see on my screen now there is a Google Docs there, main program survey. Please try and fill it. If you have not done it, please try and fill it, and your feedback will be duly be appreciated. It's not going to take much of your time. I think at most 1 minute or 2 minutes, you should be done with you should be done with it. Now, as regards the dollar sign, there's something we call, just like the Christians have said, there's something we call template literals. It's a way of writing strings, or way of writing things out in JavaScript. I'll digress a little bit now. For example, now, if I write, let's say, statement one. Let's say statement one equals I am a man. Let's say statement one equals to this. I can copy this. And I can also come here. I'm a Nigerian. And I can also come here. That's statement one. It can't be statement one. Let's say statement two again, and statement three. I graduated from Futa. So now these are three statements. Suppose you want to write this statement as one, or you want to construct this statement as one. Then you have to use something called concatenation. You have to add it together. A string plus string will always give you a string. You have to add this. You want to add this as just a single statement. Now you can come here and say, now let me see console.log statement one plus statement two plus statement three. I will comment this out so that we can come back to it later. Now, if you look at it now, I'll clear it so that it can. Let me just. You can see now, I'm a man. You can see now, I'm a Nigerian, and now if you look at it, this doesn't really make sense like that, isn't it? So we need some space here. You can also come here now and say, instead of plus, you can add another space like this. And come here and add a space like this. Okay, I have to put, now you can add a space like this. Now, this one too will also concatenate. It's going to add it together. You can see now, I'm a man. Then there is now a space. There's a space here. Now, this might two also. I can come here and add another space like this. I can come here and add another space like this. Now you can see I'm a man. Yeah, you can see now I'm a man. Or instead of adding space, you can add a comma. I can also give a space. I'm a man. I'm a man. I'm in Nigeria. Then you can come here and add a full stop. You can come here and add a full stop here. Now this looks this. If you look at it, writing this now, well, you have achieved what you can also add a comma here also. After this statement here, you can come here now and add another comma. Now, this really makes sense, isn't it? This is exactly what you want to write. It makes sense, but there are better ways of writing. Instead of coming here and start adding together, then you can use what we mean by template literal. I think it was added in EX6. If I'm not mistaken, it was added to 2016. So now, how do you now use template literal? Now, if you are writing a variable, if you look at it, this one here is a variable. This one here is a variable. If you are writing a variable inside a template literal, you have to use the $ and the curly braces. You have to use the $ and the curly braces. So now, let me come here and I'll say, now for you to start using a template literal, you are going to be using a backtick. Backtick is the key beside your number one on your keyboard. Well, especially if you are using Windows. I'm not sure if it is the same thing on Mac, but if you are using Windows, it is the one on top of the tab. The keyboard, the key on the tab key is on top of the tab key is the one, or the one beside the one key is the one that you are going to be using. I want to answer your case. Please, when do we use uppercase in JavaScript? You can use it to declare a variable. The only thing is that JavaScript is case sensitive. If you use uppercase to declare a variable, you must also use when you want to use it, you must also use uppercase to use it. Now, if I'm using this now, I want to write this as a template literal. I will just say as a console.log. The first thing for you to write a template, you have to use the backtick. Now, anything written inside the backtick will be displayed. Now you can see now anything written inside the backtick will be displayed as you have written it. It will be displayed as you have written it. Suppose now I had a space. If I had a space like this now, you can see now there is a space here. As you have written it, Gele is how it's going to be. Let me see. Why? What did I do wrong? So now, as you have written is how it's going to be displayed on the screen. For example, now if I'm giving, instead of writing this now, if I'm giving this space here now, this space that I've given will also be displayed here. So once you are using a template, the space, anything you have written, the way you have written it is the same way it is going to be displayed. Okay, can't start searching for that, but that's just it here. The backtick is beside your number one key on your keyboard. You can use it. Yeah, thank you, Oluwada, but that's just it. You can use the one on top of your tab key. So if you are using Windows, I'm not using Mac, so I don't really know how that works. So, but if you are using Windows, that's how it works. So now, the person asking about the template literal. So now, for you now to be able to write a variable inside it, you have to use dollars curly braces. For example, now instead of if I write statement 1 here, it's not going to be coming as a variable. It's just going to be coming as a string. You can see now it's going to bring statement 1. You can see it's just bringing statement 1. It's just bringing statement 1. But if I want to write a variable inside a template, inside this string now, inside this template literal, I must use a $ like this and curly braces. Now, if I now write statement 1, if I write statement 1 here now, it will come. Don't worry about this error. Now you can see now my statement one, I can delete, let me delete this. Well, you have to first understand the concept before we talk about doing giving a task. There's already a task for you. So, but whatever the case, you have to first understand the concepts first before you can use it for a work or for a task. So for the person asking about this, you can see now my statement one is like this now. So now, if I want to give space, I don't need to start putting double comma to be able to put space here. Only what I need to do is just put my enter key. Then I want to write statement two now. I'm writing statement two. Now this will work just like you are expected. Statement two. Okay, I'm a man and in Nigeria. So if I want to put comma, I can come here now and put comma. It will work as expected. So you don't really need. So most especially, it is okay for you to use template. You can see now this one is making sense compared to the other one we have written. Compared to this other one that I comment out, it makes sense compared to that one. So I hope that is clear. For the person who asks about Opwebi Ilias, I hope that is clear as regards template literal. So that's so that takes us so okay, so thank you, Ilias. So that's how template literal works. So we're talking about for in loop. We're talking about the for in loop. So I can actually comment this out now, or I can actually delete it. Yeah, you are going to be needing template literal, especially next week we'll be talking about DOM. And if you are going to be writing inside, for example, now when we want to write some statements inside your JavaScript and you want it to display in your HTML, it will be better to use template literal. So it's something that you are going to be using. So it is nice that you understand it now. So we are talking about for in loop. We have for in, we have the ordinary for loop, and we also have for off. Now, what I'm saying is that for in, okay, this is my array. For in return the index. For in return the index of the item. Now we are saying that what is the item here? Inside this array, this array we are having 3 items there. It should return the index of each and every one of them. As we know, this man is in index of 0, this woman is in index of 1, and the lady is index of 2. So now if we are doing console.log x now, it's going to return the index of each and every one of them. Now if this one run now, let's see what we have. Oh yeah, now let me add the statement to comma index. So the for in will return the index or the key. If you are talking now, you can see now we are having this. So it's returning 1 1 0 1 command. So if you want to get access to the item inside that array, we can come here and use something like this. We can now come here because it's an array. You can come here and say array at console.log. Say console.log array at that index of that x. It is now going to return each item. So it's now returning man, woman, and lady. So now you can see now it's quite different from using the for loop. You can see we are using the same thing now. Instead of using for let I is equal to 0, I is less than, all these things. So we are using the for loop, the for in loop. So this is all meant by the for in loop. The for in loop will return the key or the index. This is the for in loop. The for in loop. Okay, thank you, Chamaka. So this is how the for in loops. This is how it works. Please don't forget to fill in the survey form again. Once again, I'm using this as a reminder. The form will soon be closing. It's very important. Your feedback is for us to grow. We have to have a feedback. Let's know how you feel about the office, the tasks that you are being given. Is it correlating with what you are supposed to learn? I know some people, some of you are not beginners, but from your own perspective, how is the task that we give you? How is it to what we have been teaching you, and how is it related to your journey? Is it helping? Is it helpful in one way or the other? So we need your feedback. So that's how a for in loop. That's how it works. We also have for of. Instead of, like I said earlier, this one returns the index of the item, especially if you are in the array. If it is in an object, it returns the key. It will return the key. So this is an array now. You can see now it's returning the we are using the number and this. So that's how it works. So if it's an object, it will return the key. If it's an object, it will return the key. So that's just it. You can also read about it. If you are using for key now, it will return the key. Now the key here is F name. The key here is L name, and the key here is H. That's how it works. So now we have talked about the for in because we don't really have much time. So we should go over everything. Now, if you have any issue, you can always message me. Do not use for in over an array if the index order is important. Yes. The index order implementation depending on array value may not be accessed in the order you expect. It's better to use a for loop or a for of. Now let's talk about for of. You can always read about it, Sha. You can always read about it. It's not something difficult. The for of, like I said earlier, that the for in return the index or the key if it's an object. The for of return the value. The for of return the value. Now in the array we have here now. In the array we have here, I can comment. Okay, I can also comment this out. So now with the array we have here now, assuming we want to get the value inside the array, assuming we want to get Samberry is fine, but you don't need to tell us. And I don't know if it's because you are not getting or maybe because you have known it. Either of the two, you don't need to tell us. And if you have a question, you can always ask. So now, if you are using the for of, this for in now, we want to use the for of now. Now, if I come here, just the same method here, just what we have here. The only thing is we are, instead of using the in, we are going to be using of. So let's x of array. That means this one is now going to be returned the value, not the. Is there anything that for okay? This is supposed to be a comment. So now this will just return. Okay. The reason why it's giving undefined is that, like I said, it returned the value, not the index. So the only thing, since we are using x here, so it's going to return the value. So our x will now be the value. Our x will now be man, woman, and lady. So instead of us using the index, we can always use the value. So now if you need to loop over an array and you only need to print, for example, now if I want to add, suppose I want to add x to it, I can just say x plus x. So it's going to add x to every one of them. So as you can see now, it's going to add x to every one of them. Tell me things. What are you struggling to understand? Actually, this class supposed to, like we already said, this class supposed to be it's supposed to be a question and answer period. But because we don't have a task this week, and we are just starting JavaScript. And to be honest, and we have also given you video to watch, and so you can be able to get. The only thing we are supposed to come here is just to answer questions related to the video. Maybe you have anything that is not clear, we answer it and we go. So right, coming here and explaining some concepts is a privilege, not a right. So tell me things. What's that thing you don't understand about? So I can be able to explain all over again. Okay, you don't understand. Are you talking you don't understand template literal? So I'll be expecting your comments. So now the for of loop, this is not for in. The for of loop return the value instead of the index or the key. So it returns the what? The value instead of the key. Why the for in return the index instead of the value. So that's the difference between the two of them. Please kindly explain the array again. Okay, Femi Manuel. Okay, I will explain it again. And Temi Sinks, I'll be expecting your own question. Now, this array now, if you want to return the index, you use the for in. The in for of only return the value, not the index. If you want to use the, if you want to get the index, you can always use the for in. And someone said the array of a thing. Now this is an array. Normally, if you want to get, suppose now I'll be commenting all this thing now. Suppose you want to get, you want only this you want to only print man inside this your array. Assuming it's only man you want to print from this your array. Now, how you are going to do it traditionally is just for you to say, let's say console.log. You only want to print man. It's just going to be console.log array at index of 0. Like I said earlier, you get to, if you want to get an item inside an array, you are going to be using something like this. And the index is starting from 0, not from 1. Index of an array starts from 0. An array, yes, start from 0, not from 1. So this one is 0, 1, 2. So if you want to access lady here, you have to come here and do console.log array at 1. This one will be array at 0, 1, 2. That will be 2. You can see now this one will print out lady. So that's how you usually get access to the element or the value inside an array. Now, suppose I want to print out this 3 now. Suppose I want to print the 3 item out. You can see now I'm repeating myself. Like I'm writing this 3 times. I'm writing this 3 times, and this is not too good. This is not too good. And so the best way to be able to do these things to use a loop. So there are different ways of using loop. So now the for in loop. So we can either use the for in, the for loop, or the for of. So now let me start with the for of, which is the last. The for of return the value. These are the value inside this array. The value inside this array is man, woman, and lady. Now, what this let x of this mean is that it's saying that let item, we can call it anything. You can say let item inside this array. Let item inside this array. So, and the item inside this array is man, woman, and lady. Now, if I come here now and I say console.log item here, it's going to print out each and every one of them. So because we are saying the item, it can be anything. We are saying item of an array. That means all the items inside this array, the value inside this array, or you can say let's value of an array. Let's say value of array. So now if you console log our value here, it will give you just the same thing. So we are saying it should what? We are just saying this for loop for it does some kind of things for us under the hood. So we are now saying that the item inside this array should return it. So that's why we are having this for of loop. I hope this is clear. That's if you want to be using for in, if you want to be using for in loop, that's when you don't need to be like now. Suppose now I want to get the value of this array now. I do not need to start using for in because the in will just return the index. Now it's returning the index in which this one is. What this like is returning the index of what we have here 0, 1, 2. These are what we need 0, 1, 2. So now for me to be able to get them, I have to do something like we did earlier. We have to use array at this index now. So I have to come here and do something like this. So for us to be able to get it. So now it's just a warning. Or if you need to use the if the index is important to you, use for. So that's just it. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Okay. Now I think now this is clear now. So this is how it works. So anything you want to loop over is what is going to be here. Why the item is going to be here. So if this one can be let item in this array that we are having that will come here. So now we can come here and say item array at this item. But if you are going to be using for of return the item itself, so you can just say console.log item. So this also work. This also works. Okay, thank you, Eze. Gasali Kemisola, are you going to declare a counter to serve as index and keep track yourself? I don't understand you. Gasali, I don't understand. I don't understand you. So that's if we talk about for in and for, there's also loop while. We have while, which is also similar to the other one we have talked about. Now, why is also like while you are here, make sure you write down your your name. Make sure you write down your name. So now in the following example, the code in the loop brought over again, as long as the variable is less than 10. So now this thing is going to, that means this thing is going to work. This block code is going to be working in as much that what this condition is not happening. Like if I say why you are here, write down your name. So in as much that you are here, you write your name. But in as much you are not here again, maybe the session is off, then you cannot write down your name. I hope that is clear. That is how why loop. That is how it works. Now let's see how we can use why in this statement here. Now, suppose we want to use why to print out this what we have in this array now. Like we said, we have to come here and write the block why this. Now, like I said, if you want to get the last element in an array, you are going to be using length -1 because your index is starting from 0, 1, 2. But the length of your array will be 3. So for you to be able to get it together, it has to be index the length -1. So we can come here and say why array.length -1. Will this be a best example? Is less than, let's say it's less than or equal to 3. Now, we have to what? We want it to what? Console.log okay, we have to make an assumption somewhere. Yeah. Okay. Now, why let's say why our I is less than or equal to 3. Yeah, I think this one mistake. Where our I is less than or equals to 3. Now, this is the condition we want to use now. So most especially, unless you are writing, when you are writing, especially the hash, you sparingly use why as a loop statement. What you are going to be using most especially is you are going to be using the map method and before, most especially you are going to be using for, especially for your looping, you are going to be using for or for because you'll be accessing the value, not the index. So now we can say why I is less than or equal to 3. Now we can say console.log because we know we are accessing array by index, array at I. Then we have to come here and say hi plus plus so that this thing will, so when the first one works, the second one to also work. So I have to declare this because I didn't declare my hi. What's missing at line 11? I don't believe there should be an issue. So let's see if we have any other issue. There is missing as line 11. I'm not saying it's okay. Let me terminate here. Is there anything I didn't comment out successfully here? Wow. Okay. Okay. Okay, we're having 5 minutes to round up the class. So let me see. It's bringing something which I don't missing. Where are we having a missing? Anyway, that is missing after the condition. That should be a reference. Let's say I is equal to 0. Okay, let's I is equal to 0 here. Okay. Let's I equals 0, then our high here is equal to I is less than 3. This should work then. Let me now do console.log rr at I. Yeah, this should work. Okay, yeah. Okay, thank you. Who made that? There should be a reference. Okay, Oduola, please, thank you. There should be a reference like, let's say I is equal to 0, then it increments from there. Okay, thank you. Yeah, I think this is how why the why condition works. But how it works is that these statements will work only if this condition is once this condition has been met. So this thing is not going to work. It's not going to work again. I think that is how the while loop works. It's also similar to do while. After 3, no, I think that's how it works. So now let I is equal to 0. That means you are telling him, just like we are having 3 conditions in our 4 statements, we're having 3 conditions that it will start at 0. It should start at 0. Then if it is less than 3, then it should increment by 1. So those are 3 conditions we usually use for the for loop, and that's what we're also using here. We are saying let I should be equals to 0 here. That means it's starting from 0. If I don't want it to, if I say if this one is 5 here, now here already my height is already greater than this. So this is not going to work. So it has to be at a condition that it has to work like this. So this where it's going to work. We are starting from 0. And we're not telling that if it's less than 3. If I say if it's less than 2, then let's see what is going to happen. So it's not going to print 3. So we are only having man and woman because I is less than 2. Then this 1, 2. So it's only going to be printing man and woman. Yes, I think there's no, is there a tax for week 6? All of you screaming for tax since Monday. A tax has been added to week 6. I saw something like that. Is it week 6 or week 7? Well, you can always check, and yeah. So I think that's I hope you all enjoyed the class. I know it can be a little bit it can be a little bit confusing, or if you are just starting up, you can find it a little bit difficult. Well, that is JavaScript. You always find one or two things confusing. So, but at the end of the day, it's always you always find a way to go about it. Personally, I can say that even not because I'm teaching, I've never used why in React. I've never used why statement in React. Yeah, I've never used it. So I don't know if you have any. I would like to know if there's anyone that have used why statement when writing React, because I've not at any time used a why statement. But you're always going to be using for, and since we have a method like map for each and other stuff like that, you will not even be using the for something method. I think well, we don't have the time now, so before my landlord comes. So if there's tax in week 6, if there's anything you don't understand, you can just put it in the office hour form. I think there's a form. And if that's not the case, my other colleague will be having class with you, either Victoria or Silver Code. One of them will be coming to class. I will not be having my evening class, so definitely we'll be seeing next week. So if you have any question within 1 minute for us to wrap up, you can send me a message. Let's wrap it up. Or you can always send me a message on Slack. So that's where we are going to be running the class of. Thank you all for joining. I do hope, please, sir, is React the same as JavaScript? React is a JavaScript library. It's a JavaScript library. So like the syntax, in short, the way you are writing your syntax here in JavaScript is the same way you are going to be writing in React. The way you write function here, the same thing you are going to be writing function in React. The same way you write your for loop, your do while loop, your while loop is the same thing you are going to be writing it inside React. So it's just a library. Yes, God bless you, Kasali Kemsola. Yes, I think I've had a class. I've had a section like that. I've had a section like that that I made a mistake in the while loop, and my system have to hang up like that. So yeah, thank you so much for that observation. Yes, it's sparingly used, but especially if you are doing something that is recursive, yeah, people usually use it. Or if you are doing DSA, you usually see people using the while loop. But yeah, any simple mistake can lead to infinite loop. I've done it before. I think that was one of my class last 2 weeks or so, and I have to restart the server and other things like that. So thank you so much for that observation. So I really use while loop, but you have to know it. You have to know how it works. You might not use it, but you have to know how it works. So thank you so much for all joining the class. So we are 33, and at least it's nice. Please, if you have filled the survey form in the Slack channel, please can you signify in the chat in the chat box? Let me know how many people have filled from those people that attended my class. Are we going to be taught React also for the training? Let's see how it goes. We have a stream or we have a syllabus for React, but with our time frame, I'm not too sure. That can only be answered by my Oga. But we have a syllabus for it and we have classes for it. We are going to be teaching it. Yes, we are going to be teaching, but we still have project phase. You are going to be writing a project, and your project, if you can't be only a week, because designer will work on your project, backend team will work on your project, you frontend team is going to do. So there must also be time for your project. So so let's be hopeful that we'll be able to use it. And also, I believe by now you guys should have tried using something like Tailwind CSS and Bootstrap CSS. If you have not tried, try using it. It's not that difficult. It is not that difficult. I think I was able to discuss with one of your colleagues about let's try. He was working on a project, and I told him try and use Tailwind, and now he's using it. So by now, as you are all here, make sure you are able to use Tailwind Bootstrap. So I want to see it in your CV that when you were here, you learned how to use Tailwind and Bootstrap because it's just utility class, a utility-based class. So it's not something difficult. So please try and be using it because you are going to be using it inside your project, and also learn how to implement design from Figma because you will also be using it in your project. With that being said, thank you all for joining. You know, during React, I could remember uh, one of the challenges I faced when I was starting React was that I didn't really have much knowledge of JavaScript. So I would rather prefer us to talk about more about JavaScript and you understand a concept and you pick up React yourself. For example, now I know I can pick up. I didn't attend any tutorial or any bootcamp to learn TypeScript, to learn Nest.js, and if I want to pick up Angular now, I believe I only need to start reading the documentation or watch some YouTube video because I believe to some extent I understand JavaScript. So I always advise spending more time on JavaScript rather than rushing to React because it will definitely affect. If you rush to React, you rush back to JavaScript. Though there are some basics you need to know. For example, now how you are going to be making API calls, immediately invoke function. Yeah, you know why some use effects, why they run immediately and other things like that. But it's always nice. Let's see how it goes. I will be expecting if you are going to be doing React, my Oga at the top will definitely communicate that with you. But we have the scheme, we have the syllabus already for React. You can see this our week 10 we're having introduction to React. So let's see how it goes. So thank you all for joining the class. I believe I'm already behind the schedule. Thank you all for joining the class. Please, if you have any question, if you have anything that is not clear, please feel free to, while we are here, feel free to message me on Slack and I'll be glad to respond to you. Thank you all for joining the class. We shall see by God's grace on Monday. Bye for now. Ẹ jókòó. Máa jẹun nísìnyí. Tí máa ń jẹun.